Hey guys, Sean Evans here at Lift Deals and Thrills. No, I'm not going to Wimbledon. I'm actually enjoying the rare British sunshine, but I thought I'd take a moment to stop by and talk about what has been an insane couple of days here in the channel. I've officially found my Fearless, and today's video is about Hyperia. And unfortunately, today, Hyperia has broken down. Yes, on the first Saturday, the first weekend of its operation after its official opening day yesterday and the press day the night before, Hyperia is ceased operation. There is people on site looking at it. There's people at the top of the lift hill having a nosy round. We're unsure of what's happening at this moment in time. There's lots of speculation, of course there is. But yesterday, staff were telling us that there was a problem with air gates, and that's why that kept going down a lot, because there was a lot of people in the station leaning on the air gates, and sensors must pick up something that stops the train dispatching. There was that one floating around, and also power issues yesterday. I think a lot of the rides went down all at once yesterday, which obviously would link to a power issue and would make sense. No confirmation. Like Thorpe Park, yes, they're very transparent with a lot of things, but not everything. So hopefully we do get some further clarification of what's happening with Hyperia. Hopefully she's okay. Hopefully she gets back and running, because it is the UK's best roller coaster. In regards to people online, we've seen recently like everybody's been invited to a press day to give a positive review. Once again, it's bullshit. Like, some people will obviously turn up and say that anything is good. You could be invited to the worst ride in the world and they'll say it's one of the best nights in the world. Give them enough free alcohol and they'll say anything. And sometimes, yes, that is the case, but it all depends on what channel you watch and who you gravitate towards in terms of authentic reviews and honesty. Just shut up. It's very simply put. Just shut up. It's like advertising jealousy. It's like, how can I advertise how salty I am? Right, I'll just get that posted. And what does that achieve? Yes, enough of that. Onto the mixed review of Hyperia, starting with that god-awful queue line. So as soon as you walk into the plaza, you've got the setup. It looks very basic in design. We know what it's going to look like. We've seen it for quite a while now. The Cloud9 sort of little desserts like space is actually not a Merlin attraction. It's like a different company. So there's no Merlin discount for all your desserts and stuff over there and drinks, which I thought was quite sneaky. Opposite around there, is the store, the Hyperium. I'll speak about that shortly because I was thoroughly impressed with that. There's a stage at the far end which should really be permanent. There should be shows there all the time. Hopefully it's not a stage that they just take down after the press day, because as soon as they take away that stage, it's going to look very open down there and very bare. I thought the stage was actually really well designed. It's just that the covers behind it should be made a little bit more permanent. I thought that was a really good use of space. Got the cool screens, and like having like shows around there throughout the day would be a cool way of Thorpe starting to add these roaming actors or character spaces within themed areas of the park. Obviously with Fearless Valley now being a themed area, like character actors or shows in that area would make perfect sense. The queue line itself, like the wings, I gotta admit, I thought they looked terrible before they were sprayed and put up and stuff. I looked at it, I was like, it looks like something off Robot Wars. It looks pathetic. Like it was just like silver before it was painted. I thought it looked bloody awful. And when they're on there, it doesn't look too bad. It does not look too bad. And what they've done with the signage is they've done the 3D logos of Hyperia, which are exactly the same ones that are on the walls of the shark cabin Hyperia rooms, and they've backlit them all. And that actually looks pretty smart. Some of the signage I was actually really impressed with. When you're walking through the queue line, it's just metal cattle pen queue. It's pretty pathetic. There was some bins that were overflowing that just weren't being tidied away, and there was litter all the way down the paths. A confetti cannon went off, and a day later none of that had been cleaned up. There was confetti everywhere. It's definitely like an upkeep sort of thing. There's some people had already taken like some of the trim around some of the lights that were around the queue line. Like, this is why we don't have good things in the UK. We're just not trusted to look after stuff. And overall, the queue line I was bitterly disappointed with. They've got like little pop-up things with like almost like childlike drawings on there, which weren't great. The screen telling the backstory. I was asking members of the general public yesterday what they thought the backstory was about. They hadn't got a clue. In terms of the station building, it's very bare, but it actually looked okay to me. I actually liked the aesthetic. It kind of had that sort of workshop vibe where you kind of forgave it because something was being crafted there. You had the hammer and the wings, which was a nice touch at the top right. the other little emblems, lots of fearless words splattered around, which is a little cheap, but it doesn't really matter. In the grand scheme of things, there was some like prints or like vinyl, and I was just like, that looks really cheap and nasty. But it felt very workshop, very rugged, and for stylized, it's absolutely fine. If they just kept off a backstory, if they just left the backstory alone and not bothered, and I think people would be more forgiving towards how that style is perceived. In terms of the ride experience itself, it's phenomenal. The trains are very comfortable. There's lots of room. There's lots of space. That's kind of got like that bucket seat comfort. You feel very secure when that restraint comes down. It's a very smooth experience, apart from maybe a little niggle before the splashdown, where there's like a little jolt where the trim brake kicks in. But other than that, it's a phenomenally smooth experience from start to finish. I was very comfortable, I felt very free, and the airtime was ridiculous. That outer bank turn, whether it's called the outer bank curve, the Burton roll, someone said that was going to be like what it was going to be called. No, the Matrix element, or there's so many names of that element going around that just hasn't really been officially named. That for me wasn't the big selling point. Like you see the train light and you're like this, and you see everybody else like curving around. I was thinking that's going to be an amazing experience. It felt exactly the same as the curve out the station, no difference. There was not, you were hanging out your seat, yes, but I just wasn't as blown away as I thought I would be by that element. And then I get the stall, and that stall, I thought the one at Gotham City Escape, Unzadra, are probably the two best ones that I was ever going to do. And then Hyperia was like, hold my beer. And that's ridiculous. I was literally turning to everybody I was sitting next to and all the rides that I've done, and we were having full-blown conversations whilst being upside down. You are hanging there for a long time. It's a completely surreal moment where you feel like you're completely weightless. It's flying. It's exactly embodying what the whole ride is about. I rode it for mid-train, front train, and back row. I think front train, if you're scared of heights, you've got it. That's for the views. The front row is for the views. You obviously get that hang right at the top, and you feel the speed more, of course, like you do with many front row rides. But for me, the best ride was the back row. Yes, you couldn't see how high up you were going. It was a bit uncertain unless you're like hanging over the side for the bravies who are just looking to see how high up they are. But you get whipped. And you get whipped all around, and the air time on the back is phenomenal. It's just eject it, hang time. And it's relentless. It really is relentless. Stepping into the Hyperium after the ride, there was a lovely range of merchandise. If you are someone who collects mugs, t-shirts, like clothing and stuff like that, they've got plenty on offer, and that shop was absolutely rammed. Both days that we were on park, press day, like the merch was absolutely flying off the shelves, which is surprising considering that I'd say 80% of the people who were invited were the celebrities and were the people that wouldn't normally give a flying monkeys about a theme park ride. But a lot of the merch was flying off. A lot of people coming out sporting the merch who you wouldn't see or usually think to be seen wearing theme park merch is very popular. Obviously, the merchandise is very stylish, so that kind of appeals to a lot of people as well. And I just thought that the turnaround for the shop, so I was speaking to Russ in the shop, and he said, like, even a few hours ago, that place was gutted, and they filled it and made it just look as it did in this particular piece of footage. And that's just a hats off to the Thought Park team. They smash it with the merchandise range. Russ in charge, he gets them all in shape, and there's a great team over there. In terms of the full package, I think it's something special for the UK, but it's not finished. Like Fearless Valley, if you're naming it Fearless Valley, you've clearly got something in mind for an expansion or an addition in the future. I think Hyperion, that Plaza, is just the start, and something else is coming soon. Potentially a flat ride, potentially a well-themed flat ride, but maybe something that's stylized but well-themed at the same time. A little bit disappointed at the station. I thought that with smoke effects and lighting effects and a projector, there'd be some sort of fog curtain or something that kind of ties in with the mythology, like having like a fog sort of in front of you before you dispatch, and then there's like a little bit of show story, and then the fog, like you go through the fog, you go through the projection, when in reality the projector is projecting on these little wings at the top. It's very dull, you can't see it, especially if it's light outside. You can barely see it apart from when you dispatch and it pours like that liquid lava or whatever it is to forge the metal wings. You can only see the orange, you can't really see the detail on the projection. So I thought the projector's a little bit wasted. Night rides, I'm sure it'll be better because obviously with it being dark outside, you'll have a much better, chance for that light of the projector to show properly. But I thought it was a little bit weak. All in all, Hyperia is one that is going to divide people on if you want a non-themed ride in a theme park versus people like myself who want a themed theme park ride. So it will divide people on that. You have to respect both opinions, of course. It's down to personal preference and taste. But in terms of ride experience, like the guys who were saying, oh, they only give good reviews on press days, explain why every single person yesterday said it's the UK's best roller coaster, unless you've got a devotion to like the Smiler, or you've got a devotion to Nemesis and you'll never say any other ride is better. Like, for the most general consensus, that was everybody's favourite UK ride on the day. And yeah, no more needs to be said. Thank you very much for putting up with my voice. I did a little bit of Hyperia celebration. I was finding my my own Fearless and finding a few more rounds of Fearless after that. But yeah, appreciate you stopping by. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, going back outside to enjoy the sunshine, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!